So okay, wait till it goes. As I hit record, I want to say to you that I lovingly entered this space with you, Randall Kaiser. Lovingly.
Wow, that's so sweet.
Yes.
So
I,
we were
I
just
can be sweet, but I can also be ferocious.
okay. I know.
But I'm not going to be ferocious, I don't think. I can't predict. But I do want to address something because you said in your video yesterday about me.
Yes.
I want to clear something up. You said, and I know words mean a lot to you. You take into consideration the way you word things, and you worded, I'm going to try to get into Ida's head, and Ida's trying to get into my head, and psychotherapy bullshit. Well, thank you for just telling people my profession sucks and that I suck in that profession and that my motives are less than benevolent with you.
You got all of that out of my few words. You got all of that meaning out of
You
those few
choose
words.
your words carefully, honey. So I choose to reflect upon them carefully.
You said you might cry today. You know how when you look into the sun, sometimes your eyes get watery?
Yeah.
The Son of God. The Son of God.
I'm looking at him right now. Isn't that
I
you?
know.
Aren't you, JC?
I'm the Son of God. But
Yeah.
that's S-O-N. Yeah.
Oh, not S-U-N.
Yeah. No, that's that thing.
Okay, I got it. You're doing, okay. See, I told you you choose words carefully. I told you you choose words carefully. And
boy,
so
those
that
eyes
was
look
a
like
total,
the Son of God coming right at me.
That was a total deflect of answering the question.
What question?
Seriously?
You didn't ask a question. You gave me your version of my words. That's what you gave me. Your perception of my words.
Are you denying that the way I perceived it is the way you meant it?
Of course.
So can you clear up? Can you give us clarity on what your delivery was about? Your perspective of the delivery.
Let me take a deep breath and bring in the Son of God through the back of my head.
You're blowing it at me, which is
now,
nice.
Yeah, now I'm ready, but I don't remember what the question was.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, JC, what is it?
Okay. Let's just get past all of this, stuff and move on to our interview.
Can I tell you? Can I just tell you one thing? This does not aid in comprehension, and communication. Just walking out of it. We can talk about it later, but I'm not going to forget it. Okay. And this is a good lesson for me and you.
Okay. Well, the way I'm
sure this has happened to you before with other people. And you just do that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about it later. So let's move forward.
No. Now we're going to talk about it. Because I kind of get what you mean. Like it's, how did I put it again? Oh yeah.
I'm going to get into Ida's head, and she's trying to get into mine, and psychotherapy bullshit. Yeah. Do you actually do you actually think I'm performing psychotherapy with you when we do these chats?
No, God, no.
Exactly. No. So why did you do that? Why did you say that?
I don't even know that. I don't even know that word, what that word means, really.
Oh, Lord.
Psychotherapy. But I do think that all humans.
I'm going to talk to you about this later.
I do think that.
I'm sure people don't want to hear this. What they want to hear is what we came for.
Yes,
which
they do.
We'll discuss this later.
No, they need to hear this because it's coming from a high, up high to me now. We are all humans are trying to get into each other's head, but it's not that head that we need to get into. We're all trying to figure the other people out when all we need to do is accept and surrender to this one soul, the God that's within the human being. So getting into each other's head is trying to figure each other out and listen to each other and then contemplate it and analyze it. And if that's psychotherapy, then it is what it is. But we're trying to figure out a story here and come up with another story, because it's all stories. This thing that's going on in the world of man, world being the human construct on Mother Earth plane that we live on. So we're here to get into each other's head, to try to solve this and get beyond this worldly construct that isn't very good. We've got so much more room to move in this earthly or this worldly human
We do.
construct.
But then if that's the case, why say it then? Why put it out into the universe like you did on the video, if this is the case?
Because it's the truth. We're trying to get into each other's heads to figure out some kind of a going forward design.
No,
and,
I passed that. I love you. You're the one who brought it into the frame, not me. I'm past that. So it's obviously got to do with you.
I do that.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
I'm talking to you
I know
later
that
about this.
I'm
talking to you later about this because
when I say this is good discussion. So when I say the Ho'oponopono and I say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I added my pleasure, I did that on purpose because I do this on purpose. I do take people and shake them out of their boots like I did with that statement to you yesterday. It shook you enough that you're still a little bit pissed at me right now, and that's okay.
No,
it's okay to be that way because that's how we go.
What I'm pissed about, I want to understand more than anything. Maybe that's getting into your head. Maybe wanting to understand what you meant was getting into your head. But how I see it is I'm looking to understand. And then number two, I felt like you were mocking my profession.
Yes, I can see that you said that because I used that word psychotherapy and
you froze. You're frozen.
And you consider that. So it sounded mocking and, possibly what's some other language? We could use other language. Condescending could be arrogant.
Whatever. They're all in the yucky category to me.
Yes.
They're all in the yuck.
I've got those thrown at me so many times in my life, it's not even funny, Ida. I agree.
But that doesn't mean you have to fling them back just because you've gotten them.
That's right. But is it?
And at me, your loving sister.
But the thing is, it's the human condition. And this is what we're going to get into as we go on further. The world is ruled by Satan, the crazy thoughts, okay? And those are crazy thoughts. And as soon as we say anything that's kind of negative or disruptive or challenging, any of that kind of language, then we're diving into those crazy thoughts. So this is a really good prelude into what we're going to discuss on the rest of the video.
It is, isn't it?
It is. It's a perfect prelude.
So Randy, you are admitting that you have Satan within you.
Yes, we all do.
I'm sorry, I'm pure form.
See how good this prelude is? This preview into what we're going to discuss is? it's perfect, isn't it?
Oh,
Because
yes,
it,
you know what? I'm
yes,
noticing how lovely my skin looks.
yes,
For
I have too. In
for a
the
sick, I'm going to be 60. Look at the skin.
mine too. Look at, you know,
Yeah, yours is really good too. You shave and everything.
yeah, and I put coconut oil on my
Oh,
skin in
that's
the morning
probably
after,
what it is.
probably. But
Anyway,
ever
you're
since,
looking good.
yeah,
Randy,
ever
you're
since
looking good.
I noticed that as soon as you did that liver cleanse, I noticed your cheeks get more color and shinier. I honestly noticed that. I remember I told you that and you said, "What do you mean? What else did you notice?" And I'm telling you now, your face and your cheeks and your shininess just picked up after you did that liver
I
cleanse and got
blush
rid
a
of that.
lot too. I blush a lot, like still like a 12-year-old. Anyway, I'm going
Okay.
to start now on this whole thing. So people, I'm going to turn my computer. I don't even know if you can see. Can you see this, Randy?
Yes, I can see it.
It's hard to make out though, right?
Well, it is, but you know, I'm just
But I'm
looking
going
on
to
my
read it. I'm
phone.
going to read it first, okay?
Okay.
So Randy and I have been discussing hierarchies, right? Financing, banking. And I found this pyramidal structure, which Randy hates pyramids, he told me. So even more reason to do one.
Oh my goodness. Are you condescending my industry and my knowledge, Ida?
Oh, okay,
I
so
love
here
you.
we go, because I don't know any of
There
this
we
stuff.
I
So
can't hear. Listen, people can't hear you very good. Your microphone isn't picking up when you move
I
away.
don't have a microphone.
Oh well, you got to stay a little closer somehow so that we can hear you.
Hello. Okay.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
this pyramid, I'm going to move back like this and just go from the top. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
I always yell, so this to me is my yelling. Okay. Anyway, so look at that at the top. And so let me just tell you that this structure came from Mohawk Nation News. Okay, so this came from an indigenous site, and they outlined how the control systems work in our society. So at the top of their idea of the control system is the monarchy at the very top. And then interestingly enough, where we talked last time, and this is really good because I had no idea that the Council of 13, which is the Rothschilds, right, is right under the monarchy. Isn't that
According to them.
so? Let me just read you what the Council of 13 is. These are the family names, and you can tell me if this is what you know or don't know, okay? So the
Okay.
13 families, they start with the Rothschilds and they put them first because I wonder if that means they see them in this hierarchy as the first at the top of the 13. Okay, we'll get back to that. Rothschilds, Bruce, have you heard this? Bruce, Cavendish, de Medici, Hanover, Habsburg, Nip with a K, Pontificate, whatever that means, Rockefeller, this is Romanov, Sinclair, Warburg, and Windsor. So those are the 13 families underneath the monarchy of this control structure. And look at what they did. So then below them, so we'll come back in a second, below the Council of 13 is something called the Committee of 300. So this is a bunch of names of 300 different people I couldn't give a shit about. But I just wanted to note that in the structure. And then
Okay.
you've talked here too. This is called the Round Table Think Tanks. And in here is the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, and something called R11A-CFR, whatever that is. So look at how this is done. They said from the monarchy down to this round table think tank is called Illuminati or Mafia. Isn't that weird? From the monarchy to this round table, they're saying is Illuminati and Mafia, which includes the 13 families. Okay? Then they call the next part of the pyramid the front groups of control structures. And they're under co-option, it says, whatever that means. So guess who's in there? So underneath this round table think tank is the Freemasons, the secret societies, and they listed 3 of them or 4 of them. The United Lodge of England, the Lodge of the Sisters, which I found interesting because I thought Masons didn't allow women. So the Lodge of the 3 Sisters, and then the Skull and Bones I've heard of, and then the Scottish Rite. So those are under the Freemasons and secret societies. And then look at, here's where the world financial control is, down from there. You've got IMF, IMF, World Bank, central banks, tax revenue, interest revenue, and the Bank of International Settlements. Then get below that is something called the World Resource Control. So control of the resources. And that's RAND, the Carlyle Group, Dynacorp International, Merrick, the UN, and the EU. And then below that is world population control. Look at the mechanisms of control here. And under the world population control is the church, the government, the school, and the media. And then, of course, there's subgroups under that. And then guess what? Population resource, which is where we are, which is at the very bottom, and they call it labor units. They call it unthinking, hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing, death slaves. Not debt, death. So from the round table think tanks down is front groups of control structures. So isn't that, look at the level of control, how many levels of control there are. So is there any place you want to start on this from your experience?
Okay. But you know what? I think you got to get closer to your mic again so we can speak, because I'm not sure, because that we can just leave that off to the side now because we all saw it.
Okay, there, I'll leave it sort of like that.
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay, I'm moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So
I'm not, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, like I agreed to do this, you know, because you wanted to, and I'm like, I'm okay with looking at whatever, you know, like I've seen so many graphs like that and so many pyramids like that, and Kim Gagosian's little video, I'll share that with you if I haven't already, her little structure.
You
and
haven't.
They're all, yeah, they're all human constructs that are
yes,
you know, designed by a bunch of humans to explain and understand the situation. Like that was the words you were using earlier.
yeah.
So whoever looks at that, or whoever even created it, it means something to them, and I'm not going to argue any of it. It's their own perception of a whole bunch of words and a little drawing, you know, and in a pyramidal shape. It's very interesting, and it's quite typical of, you know, the pyramidal, you know, control mechanism that's in our minds. You know, we think in terms of hierarchy, but we think in terms of a pyramid because it's been programmed into our minds. Any of those people that have started in this world of trying to figure out that world system and talk in terms of pyramids, right? To me, it's unnatural and it's not ungodly to think in terms of pyramids. And the Star of David being one pyramid turned upside down on top of the other. Again, it's Saturnal, which is SAT. That's the same as another word I know.
It says Satan, Satan. This
So
structure, so what you're saying is this structure is satanic in some realms.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And whether
Okay,
it's
but
and
hold on.
whether it's crazy because it's what they believe to be real, or whether it's crazy because it's real, it doesn't matter. It's still fucking crazy.
I love the way you just cut right down to the, if you had an axe, you would be going boom, and it just splits down the middle, right? Okay, so, but there's something I've observed that I'm trying to again understand, not get into your head, but to understand.
Okay. Thank you.
I heard you say multiple times in our last video, the people down there, they're at the level of the Bilderbergs, or they're at the level of Govermind. Like you talked in terms of hierarchy, and
Yeah.
you know, and we talked about how the families are up here doing their own thing. Like we talked like that. So it's not that far of a stretch to kind of do this, although I understand that the shape and the representation of the triangle, pyramid, whatever, is not the best. But it's a way
Yeah.
to visually say, these are the people at the top that have the most power, and these are the people at the bottom that have the least.
Well, let's try some other designs here. Okay. I shared a couple pictures with you of the toroidal design,
Toroidal
or the
field,
tora,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then vortex-based math, which is binary structure of 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. And if you lay an 8 on its side, you'll see that
Infinity.
1, 2, 4, yeah, infinity. But you'll also see that binary structure starting on the right hand side, 1 being on top, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and it forms that. And if you do it in linear form, it's going to be lines and angles, but I like to do it in the infinity symbol, you know.
So
So
let's do that. Here's the
okay.
infinity symbol. So where are your numbers?
Well, starting on the right at the top is 1.
Up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then part way down on the to the right of that is 2. I can't
Over
see it
here?
because my head is in front of it
2.
on this. My video, my little
Here.
box is in front of it. Okay.
Can
Oh,
you
there
see
you go. Yeah, that's good. And then that's close enough. The 2 should be a little higher, but then 1, 2, and then 4 is basically at the bottom on that side.
So 1,
And
2, 3, 4, like that?
Well, we're not really dealing with the 3, 6, 9 this time. We're take the 3 out of there.
Okay.
We don't want the 3. 1,
All
2,
right.
4, and then 8 is up on top again on the left hand side.
8, yeah.
And 7 part way down.
7, part way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 5 at the bottom.
Can you see? And 5 at the bottom.
Yeah, kind of where the 4 is, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've only got 3 sets of numbers on each loop.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Now draw a line from 1 to 2 to 4.
1, 4,
Straight
yeah.
line. And then up to 8. Yeah, and then up to 8,
to 8. Yeah,
down to 7,
yeah,
down to 5,
yeah.
back up to 1.
Oh,
Isn't
it
that pretty?
it forms like can you see that? It forms.
Yes. Okay, so
Okay, so what does that mean?
well, to me, it's kind of a similar design. I mean, we've stretched it out a little bit. Similar design to the natural toroidal field, which is to me is what we where we live. You know, we live on Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is in the center of that toroidal field.
This
And
thing
whether
right
you,
here, the
yeah, and
center of
whether you,
these two?
right, and whether some people believe that's a spinning ball or a flat plane, doesn't matter. It's, you know, we're in the center of that. So then I also think in terms of that being our own, like, mirror image of us as human beings. So we're in the center of that.
Yeah,
And then the, you know, it goes out from there, that energy field, that toroidal energy field.
yeah.
So
And then I think you said in one of your emails, so that center point here
yeah,
that you're saying, sorry, that center point here that you're saying is us.
yes.
You also said you thought that was the Bilderbergs in a different form.
Well, we can use whatever word there now, and this is where we're going to get to. So that whole pyramid that you've got there,
Yeah.
in my mind, that's basically one thing, except the humans at the bottom. Like there's no room in your pyramid there for the asset accounts in what I consider asset accounts. It's just a control mechanism. So that whole pyramid, except for the human beings, belongs in that center. And let's call it one world order, new world
Okay.
order, Bilderberg. You know, everybody has a different name for it. Zionists, central bank, World Bank
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
There's,
yeah.
you
This
know,
whole thing,
yeah,
except for the people, goes here.
in the center. But that's where they wanted to put it, right? And that's where the whole governed mind is, right? And that's outer human constructs that are trying to replace the sovereign human being as the giver and the receiver,
Oh,
as
that's
the
beautiful. I like that.
you do.
I do.
So see, psychotherapy works. You got into my head, even though I said that it was probably harder to get into this than it is to get into the roots, I mean, the cellars beneath the Vatican. But you did it, Ida.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I got that. The only thing I don't really understand about it are the numbers. Like I
Yeah, I
understand that
know.
when they connect to each other, they provide sort of that loop or that infinity in a different way inside the
Yeah.
infinity. But what do the numbers actually mean? Like specifically, you chose 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8.
No, 875.
Well, I'm
So
just saying it backwards. Yeah.
I know, but you got to put it in. It is the binary structure that's repeating. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. See, you're going 1, 2, 4,
Yeah.
and then up to 8.
Yeah.
8 plus 8 is 16. But because we're not going to put a 16 on there, we put 1 plus 6. We bring it back to its
Oh,
base. So
oh,
that's what makes it a
7.
7. And then 7 plus 7 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Without a 0 means you go back up to 1 again, right? 10
Very
plus,
cool. Is
it's the,
that a model that you've seen before?
oh yeah, it's vortex based math. And
Okay.
you know, there, then you can add um the 9, the 3, and the 6 into that. You know, you can put it in there, but it makes a pyramid in the center of it, which is the part that I'm thinking was Saturnal. Saturn is
Yeah,
like, you
that
know,
makes sense
it's
to me. I understand
it's not
that.
it's not as natural. Like the natural flow is curves and feminine, and it's just and it's binary, it's doubling. Like that's the way our cells divide, it's doubling all the time. Like there's
Wait
so
a
much
minute, wait a minute. It is binary duality then.
well, yeah, that's right, it's binary. And I mean, that's a cool word.
There's room for duality.
Well, okay, yeah, but it's the balance of the two, like the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And this is where this is going to get better as we go along. Because yes, there is a distinct difference between a male and a female, and in biological terms, so that's natural. There's nothing unnatural about that. But what we try to do is make that into a problem when it's not a problem. It's natural to have a feminine and a masculine, or a male and a female, whatever words you want to use for those two separate entities. Trees are the same. Like one tree is different than the other because one is, in most cases, there's very few androgynous species of life. Very few.
I'm trying to think if I know any.
Yeah, most life species are
A unicorn.
binary.
But that's not real. A unicorn is not in nature. What about
Yeah.
those guys that they keep looking for? Those great big, what are they called again? Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Maybe they're androgynous.
Oh, I don't think so. I've seen Sasquatch baby pictures and Sasquatch mommy and daddy pictures. So I think we're kind of going sideways here
We are?
a little bit. But
I don't know. I've got the chart right here and you right there and me right here.
No, I mean sideways, talking about Sasquatch.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We don't need to search for androgynous right now, because that's been plastered in front of our faces on the media for our couple of generations now, or maybe more our generation than any. That whole idea of androgynous. And I'm not a homophobe, and I don't have any problems with people talking about in terms of non-sexual gender and stuff like that. That's up to everybody to do their own thing. But naturally, it's just simple. Like there's a male and a female, and for the species to continue, whether it's a tree or a tomato or a human, it's, you have to have that fertilization process and that egg, if you want to call it that, in the mammal and the, and chicken, and, and
okay,
then
cool.
Away you go.
Okay, so that all makes sense, and I understand that. Okay. Can we get back to, I know that this is in the middle of your thing, and you probably are not a fan of really going here, but because we started the last video with the name Rockefeller, the word Rockefeller, Rothschilds, whatever, Rothschild and Bauer, I'm just wondering if any of this Council of 13 and what I read resonated with you, or made sense to you, or you thought to yourself, oh yeah, that's what I know too. Is that something that?
Well, let's use some words here. Like, instead of just the Council of 13, I'm more familiar with 13 families, banking families. Okay. And in that group, there is a layer or a level, but that level is more based on the amount of off ledger and blocked, let's say off ledger accounts, but no, blocked as well within their. And now, wait a minute, I got to back up. So I'm talking about non-orthodox banks, okay?
Yeah,
non-orthodox being term. Right, non-orthodox being these off-ledger accounts, okay? So not credit that's available liquid. It's not liquid credit. Yeah. It's just in these banks, right?
Yeah.
And of those families that run the banking system, okay, so we're separating now. We're separating the account holders.
So there's some here On the 13, and then there's some in the banking world down here, the World Financial Control.
Yeah. See
So
that
some of
that
the families sit in there.
well, in that diagram, they've got them all mixed up. Like there's some banking families in that top end, and there's a few in there that I recognize as account holders. You know, so they kind of got that to me. Like when I'm just saying, like I'm not saying it's bad or it's wrong, but to me that my and monarchy relates to account holders who don't really have any ability to
Assets.
exploit or no, they have assets.
Oh,
Some of those monarchy, and I'm not talking about the Queen of England. She's just a fake. She's part of the banking families. That's where the structure really got sideways, you know, because they installed her in that position and said she was a queen and owner of these assets. Oh, bullshit. Like that was, you know, there are families, there are royal, supposedly royal families that hold on to assets all over the world. And, you know, they're talking about uh, gold and silver and, you know, precious metals and you name it. And there is tons of that, way more than anybody even imagines, you know.
then
So
why are they pretending that there's a limit of gold and silver in terms of assets? They're making people on the stock markets and whatever going crazy because they're saying silver in particular is more limited than gold. So you better get it now because there's not much of it out there.
that's all part of the manipulation and exploitation in that one world government mindset. And that's why I, you know, I get blasted and lambasted by so many people because I don't want to function or even, you know, discuss other than to make fun of any kind of government. And I don't care if it's Donald Trump or this one that we're talking about, which I believe exists, the one world government that is, you know, just playing with these other ones, you know, and so
Actually, you
it's
said to me that you thought that they all got together. So all the governments get together and they create like a plot to their movie and they say, what role are you going to play? What role are you going to play? And they've all consented in it.
of
So
course
it's
all of
really
them.
just a script. It's almost like if they were sitting at a table and someone wrote a script and put all the parts in there and they read their part. Like you know how they do that like a script reading with Hollywood?
Exactly. It's just like a Broadway musical or a play or anything else. That's the thing. And somebody's drawn up, like that one that you showed us there
This one?
is, yeah, that one is drawn up by somebody that's trying to figure out, that's pissed off and wants to, you know, show people and we can fix this or we can challenge them or something like that. I don't know like what their mindset was by drawing that. But there is, you know, a drawing like that that is put together as the New World Order, and it gets adjusted all the time. You know, like that's why they have the Davos Bilderberg meeting every year. They make adjustments to it, and if you know if it needs a little correction here or there or whatever, of course.
So you see this as part of the problem and like an implant from them. They are
Uh,
putting this out for us to sort of get mind fucked over. Is that what you're saying?
it builds anger and frustration when we do that kind of stuff on our own. I would say that, you know, because we're trying to blame somebody, right? We're trying to pinpoint it on
Or
somebody.
wait a minute, or is it to understand again? It's not about blame. I'd like to know what's happening in my world. If I don't know what systems are in place, how am I going to learn how to work them if I don't
That's a good
know?
That's a good point, Ida. I mean, there, you know, I'm maybe I'm jumping the gun. Like whoever created that might be a good question for them. Like,
Yeah.
do you blame those people on the top, or are you just trying to figure it out? You know, like
Yeah, yeah. So I find it interesting. Like what you're saying is this is designed to create division. This whole thing is designed to create division. And it's so interesting because it's dividing groups of people within it that you're putting together as one in the center over here of the one world order,
Right.
of your toroidal, or what's it called? Infinity loop. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Where
It's
did
okay.
you go? Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay. And I
I gotta
say
plug my
that,
phone.
and still I found it fascinating because our last conversation, you talked about this as a separate entity from the Bilderbergs, which are here, which the Queen is up there. And then you talked about the World Financial, like the central banks. You went into 4 of these divisions in our last conversation.
Yeah. And like I say, they're all in the middle trying to replace the human, the sovereign human, right? So there's abundance at the top and there's humans at the bottom, if you want to say the bottom of a toroid, right? Or a infinity symbol, or that 124875
So the
design that we just
humans are here. The humans are here at the bottom.
yeah. If we're going to talk about it in terms of a monetary system, yeah, the humans are at the bottom, and the other humans that hold assets are at the top, accounts, okay?
And
So
this would be credit creation and asset backed.
sure. Yeah, like
So,
we can put both in there, because it's unlimited, doesn't matter how much or which system you talk about, it's unlimited, right?
okay.
So if you think in that way, and then as above, so below, remember that statement, right?
Oh, yes, yes. That's a
So,
satanic statement.
right. So we've got, well, I don't know if it's satanic, because what I'm trying to point out here is that there's people at the top. Oh, look it, I got the sun there. And then there's people at the bottom. It's just people, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle, we've got this system that's trying to block and suppress and divert. And that system is made up of this worldly order, worldly being a human construct. And that's where I say you can use whatever language you want to describe it. I use Dodobergs or Dildobergs or
Yeah.
Bilderberg. Everybody has their thing, but it's a one world government is what it is. And so what we're seeing right now, Ida, and I'm going to go a little bit further now that we're here, is that we've got this thing called the white hats, right?
Yeah.
And Trump, being the front man for the white hats.
Yeah. Which is military, which is another way of saying military.
Sure. And I've agreed that this is what's happening, that there is a military, and it's not just the American military, it's the Russian military, and
it's the
beyond.
World. It's
right.
The world.
Right. So that,
it's like the world is sitting at the table.
Yes. Anyway. Yes. So if you think of that structure, that one world government, it has a military, right? It has a belief system. It used to be the Vatican. It has a banking structure. It used to be the London. Okay. And I'm using used to be because this is what's changing, right? Okay. And then we have media and military. Oh, that's probably 4 different things we should say instead of 3, because media is involved in this too.
Vatican, London, and Washington.
Okay.
So Vatican. Well, then maybe
I'd add military, but don't keep it to Washington. Military is the one world military. So it's okay. Washington is more the media than anything. The movie that's playing out.
Yeah. And London is the bank, right?
Yes.
And the Vatican is what? What is the Vatican?
I'd say beliefs or spirituality, that kind of language, But don't forget that London, because the Queen is fake, that London banks is also the crown. Okay, so the crown would be included in that, because that's where things really get twisted, because the Queen is just part of the banking family. She's not She's not a monarch.
I put banking family beside her name.
Sure. Yeah. So if we look at that structure now and say, okay, the idea of governing over the masses is not going to stop, because they have, it's obvious that people want to be led, right? They're walking around with those diapers on their faces, majority of them. So they want to be led by something. They aren't ready to be sovereign, responsible for their every aspect of their own lives yet. So majority of mankind wants to be led. So what we have to do is find a way to get the crazy, okay, I'll use that instead of Satan, because everybody loves that Satan word, but
I
the
like
crazy,
it. Yeah.
the crazy thinking fuckers out of that one world government and replace them with some conscious thinking people, and that's where the military is coming in. But
Oh, you think they're conscious? Isn't
I
the
think
military?
there's a higher level of conscious, okay, because they've decided that there's no use in killing off people in fianchetto games to
Can you
benefit.
explain fianchetto again? Is fianchetto the murder stuff?
Well, fianchetto would be like in a chess game where you basically sacrifice the pawns to make headway. That's where the word originated. But it's
Okay.
so the pawns being the slaves, and they're going to blow shit up in Iraq so that Dick Cheney can take out or take over the oil fields, and instead of the people that had them there before. So they just make up a movie about that, and that's what happened. And there's a lot of fianchetto happened there, a lot of it, because the people weren't able to get out of the way while this little game of chess was being played, right? So, and again, I'm I I am outright saying that Cheney and Bush, they were taking advantage of, because of their crazy thinking minds and their greed, taking advantage of that center position, right? That governed mind position. And we had to make some changes, and the militaries woke up to it. And I believe it was, Iraq was definitely one major one, but also Libya, because of what happened in Libya. I mean, it was just amazing. And then Syria was where the skids came on, and Putin started to say, look, we're going to keep doing this forever, or should we just fucking wake up and stop? Because it's just benefiting the system, the way it's run, and it's not getting anywhere.
So you know what I heard yesterday about Libya, or the day before? So I don't know if you've heard of this dude called 107, which is supposed
Yeah.
to be John, but 107 is really the translation for 107. Some people
Yeah.
thought he was JFK Jr., but he's not. So you know what he said? He said that he had a plane or a helicopter ready in Toronto to go pick up Gaddafi, because they knew it was going to be curtains for him. So they tried, and they were waiting for a message to send the helicopter and plane to go pick him up. That's how close it was.
Wow. Cool.
He said that the other day on a video, and that it was him. I don't know if he's blowing smoke up his ass, but that it was him who had one. He said, one of my guys in Toronto.
Yeah. Well, that could be where this white hat military thing happened. And I'm not saying in Toronto, like it was happening around the world, but maybe he was involved. 107 is 17, which is Q. Remember that.
Well, they're
So,
not saying he's Q. I don't know.
well, it's
Who
a game
knows?
to say
game
that
too, yeah.
107. It's Q. But it's all that. That's okay. That's just part of the little
Okay, but
games that
wait a minute,
everybody's
question.
playing.
Within the military, there is division. So I heard within the military, there are black hats as well as white hats. They're not all white hats, conscious beings.
Of course, that's the same with that pyramid that you just drew there. Like if the person that drew that pyramid would admit to that, it wouldn't be a pyramid anymore. But there is every layer of that pyramid. You can say there's good and bad in each layer, monarchy included. I know kings or I don't know them, but I know of kings and queens in other countries. And I've actually sat and met with royalty in Indonesia myself, and benevolent as hell. Like, they're beautiful people. They want to help mankind. They've got some kind of strange spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, but loving people. So to brand people in a pyramid like that is just, that's the silliness, because every one of us has Satan within. Just like we started this whole video about when Randall said, psychotherapy my ass. Crazy thoughts. We're all there, but we are raising that consciousness on a collective level and on an individual level. And does Randy still have some work to do? Fuck yeah, we all do. So if we admit that, then we get away from the duality mentality, still believing in the binary structure, which is the masculine, feminine, and developing that within, and then bringing that to the whole picture and saying, okay, what is the feminine? It's the nurturing aspect. What's the masculine? Well, maybe the masculine is that spark right there, the son of God, the masculine, right? And it needs that spark, that fertilization, that, that balance between the two. And I mean, I've kind of chatted about this with you quite a bit on our private sex therapy conversations lately. But I'm totally believing in that it's time for the divine masculine and the divine feminine to start to hold hands and get this shit show straightened up, because it's not going to take a patriarchal shift to a matriarchal shift. That's not going to help matters. And a lot of women have fallen into a patriarchal role, my darling Kim Gagoan included. My goodness, I've said to her, geez, Kim, nurturing is what the divine is about, but she just vaulted herself into a patriarchal world and said, I took over, and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not disagreeing with her, and I love her to bits. I wrote her an email the other day and she was kind of nice replying, with a group that we're involved in. Anna Von Reitz, Kim Gagoan, Ernest Rothschild, Rauth, who's a black, and according to Kim, he's the black son, and they've got all these fucking stories going on. They just go at it, those two, on our thread. And then Bauer, who never wants to answer, who just wants to sit upon high and say, well, I couldn't fucking police him. You want to take a crack at it, Kaiser, you go ahead. That's basically was his words to me. But he knows the truth, that there is unlimited resources, funding, whatever word you want to put on it, that's available for mankind, whether we create it or it's already there. Doesn't matter.
Things hidden in the dark secrets are what keeps like a power structure of control going. So the fact that he was even wanting to give away some of his secrets is pretty amazing, right? Because that would make him no longer as powerful as he believes he is, or his family believes they are, because you're sharing, knowledge is power, right? Yes. So him sharing that with you, wow, that's pretty, like, that's almost a chink in the unconscious side of credit creation. It's a chink saying, okay, here, now one of the secrets. Go forth and bring a chink into that armor over there, because I can't do it. I haven't been able to.
He's a beautiful man, and I've said that forever. Like, people say to me, how can you talk like that about him? Well, he'd go outside. He told me stories like they'd come out of the opera or some show with their top hats and their what do you call those suits that have the tails on the back or whatever?
I don't know. Tuxedos.
Tuxedos, and they'd come out of the theater and he'd loosen his tie and there'd be a bum there. He said he'd give his tie to the bum, or bum, whatever, you know what I mean? Like some guy sitting on the street.
Homeless person.
Okay, thank you. So so he and the, you know, the other people in his group or whatever say, what the fuck's the matter with you? You know, you're always doing that. And I believe he had that compassion within him.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna just say something. Give a homeless person a fucking tie. What is a homeless person? So how are they supposed to eat a tie? How are they
Right.
supposed to shelter themselves from? And this man's sitting on a heap of wealth. So giving a
It
tie
was
to a homeless person is not fucking compassionate. It's almost
okay.
throwing it in their face. Here,
It,
have a tie
it
you
was
can't do anything with.
okay. Listen, that I was trying to make an example, but I get you. And you know, he did say that he gave money to people too, like he'd dole it out of his pocket, cash. And I mean, so I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to maybe defend
Feed
him,
the
but whatever.
person. House the person. The
And
tie?
he,
Fuck that. Okay,
yeah,
so can I ask you then? You mentioned the Gagosian, and we've had some discussions about the Gagosian.
yeah.
So can you at all say anything about what you told me her last project commitment was and what she was doing that hasn't actually happened that I've seen?
Yeah. Well, she, you know,
Can
she's
you
got
talk
a,
about that or no?
oh yeah, she's
Oh,
got a system, you know, like I say, her drawing is way more complex than that little pyramid. And I'll share it with you. I mean, she's
good.
shared it in public, and maybe we can link it onto the bottom of this if you like.
I'm going to take a
It's
picture of this now and link it to the bottom
okay.
because we've
Yeah, so
added
you
yours. We've added your field up here and these, okay?
sure. And then you can hopefully you can take this little thing that I'm going to give you and see, I just got a message. Isn't this ironic? I just got a message from Kim Gagon. It just went off. Isn't that cool? And it's to do with this email thread that we've got going. But I just saw it was her that wrote it. I'm not going to read it right now, but I'm going to share her drawing or her little manifest, if you want to call it. And she said she got it from somebody else and took over that central position, right? So she's got a story that she's now that person who has the key to open up very large funds, right? So so far her story has been she's been able to block any movement of any governments and stuff. That's been her story. Okay, fine. You know, I don't argue with that. But that now her story lately was that she is going to put $3,330 into every personal bank account on earth. It's about a $26 trillion deal. And it was supposed to go through, I think, last Wednesday, and it didn't go. But I just, you know, when I saw that, I thought, good for you, Kim. Do, you know, take it out on the limb. If you think you can do it, just go for it. And I supported that in our little thread. And she didn't respond other than when this Rothschild guy says, oh, you're crazy. You can't do anything like that. So she defended herself and said, I can do whatever I want. So there's a lot of creation going on in that little group, right? And it's kind of fun.
But
I don't,
she's not creating in the same way you are. Like you're going for the asset-backed funding side. And if the other side, the credit creation opens up, you'll go for that too. But she's doing it in a totally different way, right? You called it something, but I don't know if I should say it or not.
well, it's basically that she has control over all of the old assets, you know? That's what she believes. She believes that all of
She
that.
believes that, but is it based in reality or is she delusional?
I'm not going to say. I don't want to get into that discussion. Like she, you know, in reality, she's right, but it's not hers, it's everyone's. You know, all of the
Yes.
mine gold that's ever been mined on this earth. Who the hell says that one person or one family or one royal family or anything else should own that, really? You know,
But
because
where does she
it's
get
been,
the authority
well,
to?
she's just, that's the part that's, you know, just her direct divine neural activation or whatever, you know, like she's thinking
Oh,
in
so
terms
she's
of,
appointed herself. Nobody has
right.
said, here are the funds for everybody. You go ahead and disperse them as you see fit. She's just
Right.
said, oh, I'm the person who's going to be releasing all the funds because I'm sitting
Yeah.
on them.
Which takes a lot of balls,
Wow, does it
you know,
ever? Where's
to
the
say that.
evidence? Where's the
And
evidence?
what's wrong with saying that is what I come back to.
Well, because are
Like
you blowing smoke up your ass, or are you actually sitting on it? Like, or are you just blowing smoke up your ass and creating the delusion in your mind?
well, let's take it to this then and say how, even when we've started this conversation, we were talking about getting into the minds of each other. There is one mind in each soul, right? Or sorry, in one mind, one soul in all life. That's my belief. And I think this is where Kim's getting at too. I don't get into this discussion with her much because words can get in the way, but I believe that all life is connected at some source, right? And then we're individuals from there and different species and everything else. But that oneness is what she's trying to point out, that she is the one. She's understanding that whole entire godly oneness, that one soul, and saying, I am, taking that position and taking that responsibility, which I don't discount. Like
Honey,
whatever,
I could do that too. So
of
tomorrow I'm
course.
going to declare I am the actual one who's sitting on those world funds. It's not Kim Gagoyan, it's Ida Seviero. And and it is so because I say so.
Yeah. But the thing is, Ida, she's got experience, like extensive, as much, well, I don't want to compare, but we each have our own experience, her and I, in this banking realm, right?
So, but experience doesn't mean, Randy, that you actually have what you say you have. You've
Well,
experienced different things. That doesn't mean you're actually sitting on the world's funds. Maybe you've
right.
experienced what it's like to talk to world leaders who have the funds, but to say you're the actual one sitting on them when they're not there, that's delusional.
That's a big step, yes. And that's where her and I differ, is because my experience and my knowledge of, you know, the one fellow that I mentioned to you the other day that's going to be released from prison for
Yeah.
nothing. I have direct experience with him holding and knowing that his accounts off ledger, and I've seen lots of people like this. Like I only know, him on a personal level, another one with the Yellow Dragon family on a personal level, and then one with hard oil assets on a blocked or off ledger level. So that's the three that I know that I could say I've been eye to eye with, and whether that be like this meeting eye to eye, or physically. I met one of them personally, like eye to eye, physically
Yeah,
touched him.
but you're not going out there from those experiences and saying, I'm sitting on a shitload of cash because I know this guy with a shitload of cash. He's the one who's sitting on the shitload of assets, not you.
Right. But see, Kim is just taking it to the next step and saying, even though these guys claim to be the owners of these accounts, the accounts actually belong to all of mankind. In fact,
Yes,
all. So
I
that's why
agree
I
with
defend her
that.
and say, yeah, that's why I defend her and say, you're right, Kim. However, the logistics and you know, the logistics, let's put it that way. How are we going to do this,
Yeah,
But
exactly.
she's got,
How are you going to get the funds? You don't
but
have
with
them.
Kim has knowledge and experience and intelligence in the computer aspect of this, which it's all based on transfer of
Okay.
digits.
So
You
this
see,
is
so
what you're
she's
saying. She can hack the system. She's a hacker and not a true creator. She's a hacker.
she's a good one though.
Okay, cool. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. Okay, I understood that. Thank you. So through these communications, I'm looking at our time. We've done an hour and 10 minutes. So
Okay.
that's 70 minutes, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I have learned a lot through the last two should I call them sessions? Oh no, that's psychotherapy talk. I won't call them sessions. No, they've been so informative, and you've been really clear, and you've
Aw,
been transparent in putting stuff forward that isn't easy to do,
thank you.
especially when you talk in different terms than I do, and I'm trying to get you to say it in my terms, and you know your terms. Anyway, we're doing it. We're doing it.
I think
So
so.
I think if there's nothing that you want to add to or end with, we can kind of slowly work our way in leaving. So is
Yes.
there anything you want to close with?
Yes. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, Randy.
And I'm
I
sorry
don't,
if
you
I
know,
pushed it a little bit, which I do. I know I do that. And I push people. Ran into a lady the other day, yesterday, downtown, and she was so pissed at me for talking the way I do about Trump that I could still see it in her eyes after months not seeing her, you know. And she's a lovely little warrior, you know, is all I can say. And I still saw it in her, you know, like, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm fine with that. But with you, I don't want to ever get to that point. So I love you.
I love you too. You know what? You're teaching me so many things. I hate to tell you this because I know your ego is like boom, 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 boom,
Be
boom.
careful. Yeah. Be
Yeah.
careful.
No, but you are teaching me so many things. You know, even though this is not romantic, people, between Randy and I, he
That's right.
is teaching me what it's like to, be partnered in communication and collaboration with someone who speaks a different language than me, who we struggle to understand, but we do. Because you know what? This is what I felt like. We are committed to getting it right with each other.
Right.
That's really, really unique. Like
Yeah.
Randy talks about people leaving him all the time. And I'm usually the one that leaves. But I've had people leave me too. And so it's really neat to have a guy to be able to stand up in himself with what I consider sometimes I'm challenging, Sometimes I can be like what's myopic, looking in one focused. And so anyway, we're working it all out.
Well, yeah, we're working it out. Neither one of us is perfect. And it's like the more that we can do that inner divine masculine feminine balance work on ourselves, the more, and that's what we're doing with these videos. It seems like too, we're working that out between us because, it is what it is. But I'm ready. I could say that prayer because I remember, so I'd like to finish it with that if you don't
Cool,
mind.
cool.
Okay. Oh,
But hang
cosmic
on,
breather. I
hang
think
on
it's
for
in
a
the,
second. Hang on
yeah.
after you say the prayer and I end the video, because I want to talk to you for a sec, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Once I stop record, I still need to talk to you about something.
Okay, fine. All right. Let's go over here. O cosmic breather of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where presence can abide. I'm using terms that are for both of us. You see that? Us. I'm using that we and us. Fill us with creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of our mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire for abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria for all. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. And thank you for untangling the last thread of destiny that bound us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. We love you. We're sorry. Please forgive us. Our pleasure for shaking you a little bit. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose and illuminate. Yikes! The opportunities of the present moment, for we are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. We love you guys. Catch you later.
Ciao for now.